Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Magpie Circle tonight after the first game of the season, a 1-1 draw with Newport. What did we make of that, those that were down in Newport or watched the game on the stream? Great first half, petered out a little in the second. What did you think of the new signings, the new keeper, the new striker? Ollie Norburn and Keenan Bennett both getting plenty of minutes in the second half. We'll be dissecting that and more, as well as looking ahead to Salford. They didn't have the greatest of starts, did they? Beaten at home on Saturday. All that and more on our show tonight, brought to you in association with JH Accountants and the Big Shed at the Trent Navigation. If you've not already entered our competition to win a free home shirt, courtesy of JH Accountants, check out the video elsewhere on the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the channel, and in the comments put down the size. The draw will be made for the winner of that shirt in next Monday's show. So you've got a few days to enter that one. And hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at our match day vlog from Newport on Saturday, which we'll be bringing you each week now from every game, home and away. Firstly, good evening, Stal.
Evening, everybody.
And as much as we all love football, and as much as we're all going to dissect Newport tonight, we must start with an update on the Notts fan who sadly suffered a medical emergency on Saturday. So the name has been revealed today of the Notts fan that suffered that severe attack on Saturday. Many of you will know him. I know him. He's a lovely chap, Stephen Silver. His family and his friends have been confirming a little bit more about what happened on social media today. And I think probably the most important thing is that he is conscious. He is in hospital in South Wales. He is a little bit groggy. He's had some heart surgery, and clearly there's going to be a bit of a road to recovery for him. With that in mind, members of his family have travelled down to be with him in South Wales. Now, money is a little bit tight in the family, so they have set up, which I'm just about to read out. It has been posted already in the on both social media channels and also on our message board. It's a PayPal account. The account is Zach, ZAKK, Newstead, NEWSTEAD, @gmail.com. That's a PayPal account. It's on the messages, so you can just cut and paste that. And if there's any donation that you can make to help the family, spend some time and give him the support and encouragement that he needs in his recovery from what was, I think it's fair to say, without going into too much detail, an extremely serious incident. Members of the family have spoken today about their appreciation to initially the Newport stewarding and medical support there before not one but two air ambulances came along. And I think it's no exaggeration that prompt treatment has saved the life of Stephen Smith. And I have to say, Stephen is an absolute committed Notts fan, home and away. Loves the club, loves the team, and there's quite literally nothing that he wouldn't do for his football club. Stel, it was all quite worrying scenes. A lot of us didn't really know what was going on, but to see not one but two helicopters coming down, I mean, so it was a quite incredible start to the season, none of which we could have envisaged.
No, absolutely. And just to echo what you've said there, we wish Stephen and his family, all the best, and hopefully he makes a full and speedy recovery. But yeah, I mean, yeah, really worrying, nothing you ever want to see. But you sort of almost have to think about, if you're going to have anything like that happen, you're near a football ground. Well, the response from Newport and the emergency services, absolutely fantastic. And hopefully he makes that full recovery and he'll have people to thank afterwards. And obviously I would add as well that, yeah, try and throw a bit of money in for the family as well, big Notts fans. But that doesn't matter, does it? It's just about making sure they're fit and healthy, making sure they make a recovery. And hopefully we'll see him back at Meadow Lane sometime in the future, in the not too distant future. So sending our best wishes certainly to him and the family. But yeah, I mean, Yeah, really worrying scenes. Not something I've particularly seen at a football match before. Two air ambulances sort of been scrambled and sent and landed on the pitch. So yeah, you never want to see anything like that. And it does sort of put football, into its place a little bit, doesn't it? Things like that. It makes you realise, as much as we love the game, as emotive as we get about it, you know, there are things that are bigger than it. But yeah, like I say, hope he makes a full recovery, speedy recovery, and I hope the family are all well and I hope they're getting back safe and soon quickly.
Yeah, and my thanks as well to Kim Wolster. Lots of you will know Kim. Kim's fighting her own personal health battle at the moment, and it's quite remarkable that she's able to still come along to games. The slight irony of the situation on Saturday was that Stephen was Kim's carer and supporter for the day. So obviously that had a dramatic impact on Kim as well. I did speak to her before the game. She's been in touch with me today. So clearly I think that was quite a shock to Kim. But she's okay today. She's okay today. And as I say, with the health fight that she's continuing at the moment, it is quite remarkable that she is able to come to not just home games but away games. And again, people like Stephen, people like Kim, it kind of puts everything into perspective with the amount of time, the money, and the sheer doggedness and determination to carry on supporting the club. Let's just get a few messages from people on the boards. From Jurgen, one of our show regulars. A very eventful weekend. Best wishes to Stephen, who is in a Cardiff hospital recovering. Thoughts go out to his family. I'm sure we all echo that, says Ian Cooksey. All the best to Stephen. Adam Kent. And apparently the stewards at Newport were exceptional and professional. Ray Newton, evening everyone. Excellent start to the season for me. Richard Elvian, Estelle will no doubt say it's all about taking those chances. I'm sure when we dissect those opening 90 minutes and those chances in the first half, I think as Martin Patterson said in his post-match interview, you kind of did think we might rue them at half-time, not necessarily within 4 minutes, but we have got a point. Evening from Paul Huskisson. And I think, yeah, this should also be pointed out. I didn't actually know this. Malcolm Shearston told me. Jurgen's mentioning it here as well. Stephen ended up being taken by ambulance to the Cardiff hospital. I think that the air ambulances were dispatched because of the technical people, the doctors that were needed with specialist expertise and the equipment. That's why they came on the air ambulance. But Stephen was taken by, inverted commas, road ambulance to a specialist unit in Cardiff. Stephen Newton, evening all, get well soon, fellow Pie. Just below that is the PayPal address if you wish to send any support to Stephen and his family. Wishing Stephen a full recovery, says Richard Elvian. Evening from Karen Knight. Gary Connor, I thought we showed intent, just needed to put the ball in the net. Adam Kent, we kept saying we're going to pay the price for the missed chances in the first half. We did, but a point away isn't a disaster. Jurgen, we definitely need another striker. Bud Chatwin, positives. He's put 2 S's in positives. We are undefeated this season, 2 points off the automatic playoffs, and have had no red cards, and we've had a penalty awarded for us every game. Evening all from Royston. We did okay Saturday. We were not the only team to get a draw. I'm guessing that is making reference to MK Dons, who drew at home with newly promoted Oldham. Evening from John Gregory. Always take a point away from home, says Jurgen. Evening from Ian Haywood. Chris J, evening all. Is Spurs Tyrese Hall on the way for a season-long loan? That's a new one on me. I'm sure that Ronan Hale from Ross County in Northern Ireland International is going to be discussed at some point. Richard Terry, evening all from Woodborough. Definitely need a striker. Who's this guy mentioned from Ross County? That will be Ronan Hale. Evening from Ian Birchinall. Draw not what we deserved, but take the point and move on. Gaza Lee, evening Gaza, the one differentiating factor missing was Jatta. Walking back to the car, we spoke about that missing link. First 30 minutes, we were on fire, just no finishing of chances. JC, our thoughts are all with the Notts fan. Respect the point, but it should have been 3. First half was fluid and should have been out of sight. Second half was disjointed, and once again, a set piece did us. Ian Cooks, he likes to put in message of the night. You'll like this one, Stowe. You don't look at the message boards, do you?
No.
Is Gary Neville allowed in Meadow Lane on Saturday?
I would think so. We've got to have a decent pundit in there somewhere.
He's obviously referring to Marinakis, isn't he? When Marinakis banned him from Forest.
I think he only banned him from the other side. I don't think he banned him from the whole of Nottingham football grounds.
Duncan Comrie. Firstly, I'd like to say it's great news. The Notts fan who had the heart attack on Saturday is awake. Also, I thought we played well and remain optimistic for the season. Jurgen Halligan, I thought Platt was pushed over for their goal. I did look at that on the replay. I guess there were arms up. Some might give it, some not. Who knows what is a push and what isn't a push these days. Adi Clark, good evening. Just packing while listening. Off to sunny Menorca in the morning, so missing the first home game. Mix up on the old booking of holidays there, Adi. You got them wrong. Definitely need some more ruthlessness, as Stell said. Malcolm Shearston, good evening. I've donated to the fund already, he says. Evening all, Pythagorean. Saw Martin there. Need another striker. Ian Birchinall, this is runner-up so far in tweet of the night. I wonder how the first technical board meeting went. He adds, I can hear the discussion now. So, Martin, we finished the game with no striker on the pitch. Replies, well, get me one and I'll play him. Dave Hartshorn, evening Paul, Stell and supporters, season now underway. Chris Gosling, I've heard there was a big bust up over biscuit selection at the technical committee. Martin went plain digestive and the Reets are milk chocolate. I'm sure we're having much more analogies to that later on. Right, we'll pause. Kay, I will read yours out next. There's hundreds of them tonight. I'm giving me voice a rest. Stell, okay, holistically, he says, drawing a circle. We know you're going to say you can't judge anything to 10 games.
Yeah,
I think one of the key things was possession with purpose. That was a phrase that Martin used to us and to others. And, you know, when we used the phrase intensity, he kind of agreed. With those two in mind, what did you see of that? What did you make, albeit only 90 minutes on Saturday?
Yeah, look, I think what people have already said, what the comments you've already read about the game, I think they're all fairly accurate. I think everybody could see that we were far better in the first half than we were in the second. And again, the age-old thing, we create chances, didn't take them, you know, didn't punish teams when we were on top. And you know, I think Martin said that, didn't he, in his post-match interview? You know, one of his quotes was, "Football owes you nothing. You know, you have to take them chances." And he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right on that. And we were speaking for a lot of last season, weren't we, about ruthlessness, clinical finishing. You know, it's all right looking good, but if you don't put the ball in the back of the net and you don't end up with the points, you know, that's it. You know, it's what it's all about. And I say, I think that one thing he has been clear on, Martin Patterson, about. He's about winning first, and then we'll look at the underlying stats. Of course, there's got to be a platform and a way of playing to get that win, but it is about winning. And we didn't manage to do that. But there's always an opposition trying to make it hard for you. So in the whole, I thought we were decent. Obviously, better first half, sort of 8 out of 10, 7.5, 8 out of 10 first half, 6 out of 10 second half. Created them chances in the first half, didn't take them. Got punished with a sloppy bit of defending from a set piece. Really, yes, it might. You can argue might have been a foul in there. I'm sure there probably was, but you've still got to defend your box. You've still got to make sure you don't give that away, because you'll get that week in, week out. People putting the ball in your penalty area. You've got to defend it. Showed a bit of resilience to fight back, bit of character. And the game got a little bit scrappy, didn't it, after all the substitutions in the final sort of 15, 20 minutes. So all in all, yeah, not a disaster. Point on the road against a Newport team who were favourites for going down, and I looked at them and I don't see them troubling many teams. If I'm honest, I don't see them having too much. So look, it's always tricky. First game of the season is always hard because everybody spent all pre-season getting organised, having a way of playing, eyeing up that first game. Now we played really well, I think, first half without scoring. So that's why I say 8 out of 10, something like that. I thought we looked dynamic, caused problems. We kept the ball, but we say possession with purpose is one of Martin's phrases, isn't it? We'll probably trot that out a fair bit this season, but I thought we did get the ball forward. We played a lot more in the opposition half, around the halfway line, yes, but in the opposition half, and we weren't afraid to switch the play, look in the channels, look in behind. Barry Cotter, I thought, looked very mobile, running in behind. First half, Kellen Gordon as well down the left hand side. And maybe they tired a bit as the second half went on. As the game went on into the second half, and that's why the need for the substitute. So. And again, what we've got to remember is there were 10 sort of new players that were involved on Saturday. Obviously, one player, Harry Griffiths, didn't get on the pitch, so there were 9 new players. So they're still going to take a period of adjustment, period of getting used to each other. But I thought there were some promising debuts. I thought Iopenda in the middle of the park looked really good first half. Didn't quite look as effective when he pushed him forward when Ollie Norburn came on and played alongside Matt Palmer. I didn't think he quite had the same effect. But again, we're talking about, 25 minutes in the first game of the season. So we'll not judge that and say, well, that can't happen again. He won't play there. And now it gives us a conundrum. Look, it's a point on the road. It's not perfect. It's certainly nothing like a disaster. He'll learn a bit more. He's got all week training, and we'll move on towards Salford at home this Saturday.
Kay says positive first half, but didn't take our chances. Desperately need a number 9 to support Dennis, who was excellent on Saturday. Chris J, striking and goals is going to be a growing problem. Martin Shipley. Evening all. Went to Newport. Nice, neat ground, but really makes you appreciate the much superior facilities that we have at Notts. Yeah, to be fair, I do think Newport have done really well with what's been thrown at them. And for those of you watching my vlog on Saturday, I walked a mile from my hotel down to the site of the old Somerton Park. I think they left before you were even born, Stella. You might only just have been born. And Somerton Park was a real old little ground, hemmed in by terraced housing and the main railway line. And there's nothing left of it now. I thought they might have a bit of a memorial, but literally there's just a road sign that says Somerton Park. But I had a little look around there and posted a bit of a video for people of a certain vintage like myself who would have seen Notts play there. League Cup 1980, 2 legs, we got through and went on to get promoted that year. Martin Blaney, evening chaps. I think the Notts squad is weaker this season with so many average players. Greza Maxwell just pinged a donation over to the fund. Colin Metcalf, what a joy to watch us get to their box in 6 passes rather than about 30 plus. The difference in tempo and purpose are there for all to see. Big Meech, performance consistent with a first competitive game of the season. Lots of positives to take. Should have won, but I'll take a point. Notts look like a different team. Long balls, shots from range. And he adds best wishes to Stephen, of course. Paul Topley, my old mucker from Greenwood School, all about the tempo. Colin Metcalf, do I or Stel know what the limits on squad size are and how many loans can we have? I like what I've seen, but think we need 1 or two more. We can dive into that later in the programme. Martin Kelk, who's a regular listener, is your man for that. He's been producing the squad list for me every other day. It's convoluted. How many homegrown players under a certain age that don't count? It's a little bit more complicated than you might think. Charlie Capewell. Has anyone seen the news? Notts are signing Tyrese Hall from Tottenham. Champs, League One and 2 clubs interested in him. Well, if a Championship club's interested in him, I doubt he'll be coming here, Charlie. Has he signed? I mean, have I missed something? I don't know. All the best to Steve and family, says Solent Magpie. Will Ford. Evening all, team still work in progress, but add a striker and an informed Jatta, if he's still here, brackets, we've lots to be positive about. Derek Flowers, I know Stephen from my stewarding days. Best wishes to him and his family. Again, this Spurs youngster on, another Spurs youngster on his way on loan, very highly rated, says Terry Robertson. Lots of people saying that. When you give one of your replies to one of my questions in a moment, Stel, I'll quickly check things out and see what there is and there isn't in it. I'm not aware the club's announced anything. Chris J. Marinakis might come and have a word with Mr. Neville if he's at Meadow Lane. Good news, as we'll sell him several seats. You said that, Chris J. I am not casting any aspersions on the athleticism of Mr. Marinakis. If he asks, I'll send him your details, Chris, and you can have it out with him. Ian Cooksey thought when Norburn came on, he seemed to be organising the team very vocally. This will be invaluable to all players, especially the younger ones. Evening from Rosemary Mans. I hope when Salford come, we give them a standing ovation after alleged racism abuse from a York fan. We'll have none of that at Meadow Lane. Big Meech, we have a lot of pace. Jody, Dennis, Gordon, Iapenda. We played well, says Nigel Bosworth, but still think we need some up front. As Stella's already pointed out, and Essie Kent echoes, 10 out of 18 newbies on the team sheet. Ian Cooksey, it was pretty much a carbon copy of the first game last season. Tranmere away, I think. Plenty of energy, but no end product. But I'll take a draw all day long. No complaints from me. Let's just break off there. And Stel, let's look at that opening 45 minutes. I mean, there were some glorious chances, probably Grant singularly the best among them. We did play very well for opening 45. As it stands, we have lost a lot of goals, haven't we, from the group that we had last season. So we're not just talking Jatta not being here, but we've lost a lot of goals in the team. And I guess that kind of manifested itself in that opening 45 minutes.
Yeah, look, you're dead right. We have lost a lot of goals with McGoldrick and Jatta, obviously not available for the first 5 games. Crowley, when he went in January, there was a certain number of goals coming from the middle of the park as well, and assists. So somebody's got to step up, and Martin said himself when we interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, Jatta not being available for the first 5 games gives somebody a chance in the shirt. And Matty Dennis was that man to play as the lone striker on Saturday, and I thought he worked hard and did pretty well. A lot of balls played into. I thought noticeably that was something we did more. We played into the central striker more and looked for him to hold the ball up a little bit more than we have done in the past, where everything's sort of been on the periphery, playing from side to side across the pitch and trying to use the width of the pitch. We played into the striker more. And he held it up pretty well. A couple of times it bounced off him. A little bit of a tricky pitch. The pitch was a bit dry. First game, yes, I know they had to sprinkle on for a little bit, but it was a bit dry, got a bit sticky at times. So yeah, I thought he showed promise. And I was speaking to, I bumped into a coach load of Notts fans on the way back. We stopped at the services, and I think that the sort of opinion of them, similar to what I was saying myself, was I think he'd possibly benefit from having a Jatta up front alongside him to maybe take a bit of the workload off him. Now, whether that is something that we'll do, but again, we're talking 4 games in advance now, because Jetta ain't going to be available for 4 games yet. So, maybe that's something for down the line. We'll wait and see. But I thought he showed promise. I thought the first half performance, we were decent, and as I mentioned, second half we sort of got a bit ragged, the game got a bit ragged, didn't it? But yeah, then chances, Connor Grant. It was a wonderful ball in, lovely run, really good run.
Yeah, great time.
At pace, good timing of it, met the ball perfectly. Just again, this is that it's and I don't mean to be overly critical of him or anybody, but you don't get anything for nearly scoring. You don't get anything for nearly putting the ball in the back of the net. Strikers who nearly put, and I know he's not a striker, I'm not talking about him per se, I'm talking in general in football. People who nearly put the ball in the back of the net or have near misses or have sub stories about it, unfortunately don't, make the best of their career. So you've got to put your chances away. This is what we say. You talk about ruthlessness. We talk about being clinical. Iopenda as well. He had a decent chance, albeit came at
Yeah.
him a little bit sharp, and he put his shot and placed it a foot or so wide. You know, so they were the two big chances, and we didn't take either of them. There were other dangerous balls into the box, sort of headers that we didn't quite get right, loopy headers and things like that. Shots that, Jody forced a decent save from 23, 24 yards out. But if truth be told, it's a save you'd expect the keeper to make. So I would like to think that in future games we're going to create more clear-cut chances, but you can't fall back. It's that argument of how many clear-cut chances should we have to create to actually score a goal and win a game. So obviously the more efficient you can be, the better, but that requires players who are clinical in their finishing, and Jatta obviously has proved he is that. Others have got to step up.
One point, and we touched on this a little bit before kickoff. Dennis thought I had a decent game. Thought he had a decent game, but I think it's a very specialised position to be able to play only one up top, because you don't necessarily get a lot of help, and as well as holding the ball up, you run the channels. You got to get the shots off, that sort of thing. Do you think there's any way, when Jatta is fit, the manager might look at two up top? Because ever since the Reach brothers have come in, we have rigidly stuck, and I mean rigidly, to 3 central defenders and 1 striker. Because I think it's a tough ask for someone like Dennis to play a single striker, but you could potentially see the benefits of him and Jatta as a twin strike force.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, if Martin looks at things when they're available and sees, do you know what? That's the best formation, I think, for the players that we've got. And again,
Yeah.
he talked about, and we're all aware of, the formation in possession of the ball, formation out of possession of the ball. You don't
Yeah.
just leave 2 strikers up, and so it might well be that Matty, if that is the way they play in possession of the ball, that Matty Dennis is then asked to drop deep when we're out of possession of the ball, and then play as them 2 players in behind, do his defensive work as well. Look, it's formations. There's not a great deal of difference. You're talking maybe about 10 yards on the pitch in terms of your starting position as being a striker, a second striker, or in that withdrawn number 10 position, as we've played, as you say, we've stuck to rigidly that sort of Conor Grant played and Jody played on Saturday. So you're not talking about absolute night and day difference. What you might say is he starts there, but when we get on the ball, go and get yourself and try and push yourself up alongside Jatta. Look for any flicks, look to play off him. Same with Jody if he's going to be there, or Conor Grant, or whoever it might be, playing in them withdrawn positions. Go and release yourself. Conor Grant was the furthest man forward, wasn't he, when he hit the bar? So even though you don't play as a starting striker, you don't have to stand up against the centre half. In fact, that's probably the last thing you need to be doing. So you need to drop into these spaces to lose your defenders switch off, and then make you run in behind, or then make you run to be the furthest man forward. There are lots of ways of doing it, and I think sometimes we get hung up on, what formation are we playing? How are we starting off? Because like I say, players are constantly on the move. Players are constantly on the move as the game's going on. And very rarely, you might look at, when you look on websites and you see the formation 5-3-2 or 4-4-2 or 4-1-3-1, or, all them sort of formations. But very rarely will you ever take a freeze frame on the pitch and players actually be in that formation. So they go wandering, they go moving, and that's sort of the nuance of the game, if you like. It's finding and making and timing your runs and timing when to go and stand up top and when to go and drop deep and when to pull into space. Don't stand in the space and kill the space. So a long-winded way of saying, yeah, I think he could benefit from Jata being up alongside him, but that doesn't necessarily mean he would start right up top alongside Jata as two centre forwards, with maybe Jody or Conor Grant in as a normal number 10 or a central number 10 in behind them. But it's certainly doable. If you think of that triangle of the front three, you're only turning it round, like I say, moving everybody by about 10 or 15 yards on the pitch, and that's it. But they will still be asked to do the defensive job when we're out of possession of the ball. So that would then necessitate them dropping back probably into them two number 10s.
Let's just, while we're on the subject, square away, incoming, potential new striker. This Tyrese Hall seems to have gathered momentum, young lad from Tottenham, although listening and looking to some of the stuff, he's not necessarily an out-and-out striker, midfielder. So we'll see whether that happens. There's certainly nothing on Notts County's official channel, so don't get too carried away, guys and girls, at the minute. Ronan Hale is the other one that there's been quite a bit of debate about today. Scored a few goals in his career, played in the Northern Irish leagues, started out at Birmingham as a trainee and really tore it up in their academy teams, but didn't quite work out for him there. He's 26 now. Did okay for Ross County in the Scottish Prem last year. Got something like 12 in 26. They were relegated. So my reading of the situation is that club want to get rid because they've dropped into the Championship. Player wants out because he's dropped down the standard. Agent speaks to friendly journalist. Journalist plants story saying about 8 clubs are interested for him, and just for good measure, the club want £1 million for him. So that's about how that's happened. But obviously, we've been mentioned as one of these clubs. Look, without going into specifics, Stel, how important is it for you that we get a proven out-and-out goal scorer, or do you think when Jata's back, we don't need it?
Look, I think you always would love to add one more. You could have Martin Patterson on here, and although he'd have to toe the line and sort of be diplomatic with his answer, every head coach, every manager wants another goal scorer, a proven goal scorer. I'd have 2 or 3 if we could, But the thing is, proven goal scorers,
yes,
cost money generally. They're expensive. They don't grow on trees, and they are expensive. And every club will be after proven goal scorers. So that's where you have to go. Well, what is our model? What do we look at? We've got all this data, so we'll have information that maybe some others won't have about players that we think can become proven goal scorers, that we think can become goal scorers in this division, but they're maybe not coming as proven goal scorers. Look, we'd all want proven goal scorers. I think that's a unanimous answer and an easy answer, but it's not always possible. It's not always the case that either A, you haven't got the budget for it, or B, as we said before, maybe we've got to move a few players out first, because there are decent numbers in our squad. When you look at the squad depth, there's decent numbers there. We had 3 players, was it, with minor injuries, they said, for Saturday, Traore, Ness, and who else was it? I forget at the minute. But then there was Jack Inchy, not in the 18. Yeah, Will Jarvis, I think it had been said he picked up a knock, had he? And there were a couple of others that sort of weren't in, Lewis Macari and Jack Inchy, who've played in the first team, played quite a few games in the first team, not in the 18 on Saturday. So I think there's got to be movement both ways, so it's all right to clamour in. And yes, I do want proven goal scorers if we can get it. I certainly want somebody who can threaten and put the ball in the back of the net. Of course you do. But there might have to be movement the other way to facilitate it.
But is there, playing devil's advocate, Stel, not an argument that the club needs to perhaps spend a transfer fee and get someone, if not guaranteed to get 20 goals, but someone that's already scored goals. We sign a lot of players to this football club uh, based on presumably data, but based on the head coach improves them and they can get better. But goal scoring, and you would know this better than anyone, there is a certain art to it. And if you sign someone that hasn't got a lot of goals before, it's more probable they won't get a lot of goals with you. And conversely, if you've got someone that's got a proven pedigree, he's the best bet. That's going to be ultimately the best bet that he'll score goals for you.
Yeah, of course. Look, if somebody's done course and distance, you know that they can do it. So if somebody's scored goals at League Two level or whatever level, then you know they can finish. But again, there's information. At some point, players' careers have to ignite, or you have to. If you're
Yeah.
young, you've got to start somewhere. You can't have experience until somebody gives you experience, and you can't do well until somebody's give you that experience or give you that chance, or you've earned that chance. So again, with all the data that they've got, you would back them. I think Mac is a case in point, isn't it? I think we paid something like 50 grand to Gateshead for him, who was a proven goal scorer, but wasn't proven at the level we were
Yeah.
playing at, and came
Yes.
in and obviously did brilliantly for 2 seasons, rose to the level. Now he's gone to Millwall and maybe found that step up a bit too far. And for different reasons, you're in a different team, playing in a different way at a higher standard, it's harder. And maybe not getting as many chances as he got at the National League and in League Two. So there are reasons why, somebody, if Macaulay Langstaff, it's a big if and it's irrelevant really, but if Macaulay Langstaff was 21 and was coming through at Millwall, you'd look at his record and go, what's he scored? 1 goal at Millwall, 2 goals at Millwall, something like that last season. You'd look at his record and go, well, no, he's not a proven goal scorer. But obviously, he was proven lower down. He scored goals at a lower league level. But before the Gateshead story, he played for York, hadn't he, and I forget wherever else, and didn't really pull up any trees in
No,
terms of his goal
no,
scoring record.
no,
Paul Mullin,
no.
before he got 30 odd at Cambridge, his goal scoring record bang average. You know what I mean? Not spectacular, not special. So there are examples, recent examples of players that suddenly, and this is why I talk about jigsaw pieces fitting together at a different club. Suddenly you can have a jigsaw piece that looks a little bit lost in a different team, a different squad, comes in and it might just click and it might just fit. And all of a sudden you see somebody scoring goals that you think, well, there's nothing on his CV, nothing in his history to suggest that was going to happen. But would you always rather prefer somebody that you're more certain about? Yes, absolutely. But again, there's still no given, no guarantees that just because they've scored goals previously, they're going to score goals at Notts. Again, it's a different set of circumstances, different team, different way of playing. But this is where you have to have confidence and belief in A, the head coach and the coaching staff, B, the quality of the players around him and the creativity to say, if we get somebody decent who can put the ball in the back of the net, we'll create them chances and we hope they take them. And that's pretty much the ego you have around football. You've got the recruitment to identify the targets and go and get them. You've got the coaches to improve them and set the way of playing, and the players, the creative players, to get them in the team, to fit them together, and to work it out on the pitch and make sure they do get them goals. They're the three factors that need to come together to bring a successful team with a goal scorer or two in it.
Players that have been, I guess, signed with big hype probably haven't achieved as much as the club would have hoped so far. Both, I think, have now got minor knocks. Will Jarvis and Traore. I mean, the word was, Jarvis perhaps didn't have the greatest of pre-seasons in the eyes of the head coach. He was actually down to play in the reserves, wasn't he, on Wednesday? Now, Jarvis is someone that's got an eye for goal. Have you been surprised at all that his opportunities have been, including the pre-season, I think you would say limited so far, and likewise Traore, who came with a big reputation, if you like, from playing, was it in the Danish or
Yeah,
Norwegian
Frederick Stad,
division?
wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
Frederick Stad. Was that Norway? I can't remember.
Yeah,
My geography is not
Winchester.
great.
Apologies to
But yeah, look,
Scandinavians.
well, yeah. But take them both in isolation. Then my Traore has come in on, hit the bar at Port Vale, as I think we all remember, and then unfortunately didn't get loads, hadn't had loads of minutes, but had a few games. It's just not happened for him so far. Still time, still plenty of chance. A new manager, also new head coach, new sort of way of playing. So maybe that will be the secret, and maybe he can find his scoring boots this season, given chances. But I don't think he's shown. Certainly, I hope he's not shown the best of him so far, because he's had a limited opportunity. Um, who knows? A different head coach might see different things in him, and when he's fully fit, he might get his chance. Will Jarvis slightly different, obviously not a out and out goal scorer, not an out and out centre forward, a winger really, creative player. And look, I'm absolutely surmising. I know he didn't get loads of minutes pre-season,
Yeah.
and you're right. I think he was down to play in a reserve game the week of the first game, or so reserve game, a sort of B team game, whatever I want to call it, on the week of that. My reading of that, and I might be absolutely wrong, I've got no inside information on this whatsoever. My reading of that could well be a new manager, new head coach in Martin Patterson coming in, wanting industry, work rate, closing down, pressing, all that sort of thing, intensity. Maybe Will Jarvis hasn't impressed him in, or doesn't maybe think he can do that at the minute. So maybe he's leaving him out as a bit of a test, of character. Go on then, son. What are you going to do? Are you going to fight? Are you going to down tools and just go, hey, don't like me, and sort of pack up? So maybe there's a bit of a having a look at his character there, a bit of a test to say, go on, son. You step your levels up and met your way, force your way into this team, by showing me you can do what I require. My either wing backs, my number 10s, my withdrawn players. Go and show me you can do what I need you to do, and do it out there, because there's no doubt about it. Will Jarvis has got something. He showed that last season in the games he had. Yes, he's not the finished article by any stretch, but he's certainly got a bit of something. And I say, given a 3-year contract, that shows that the club believe he got a bit of something. But again, a new coach comes in, sees things differently, has different opinions on players. And again, he might just not be his sort of player. He might be, but he might not be. He might be one of them where he's just testing him to say, look, come on, I want a response from you. Really show me. I need to give you a bit of a kick up the backside. You're a young lad making your way in the game. Have you got what it takes to sort of go on? I'll show you. Or it might just be that he goes, do you know what? I've seen it. You haven't shown me enough in pre-season, so you don't deserve a shirt. Everything's got to be earned. Again, I go back to what he said in his post-match. You owed nothing in football, so you've got to go and earn it all the time. And if the manager, head coach needs you to work hard, that's what you've got to do. You can't sort of sit and moan about it, or you've got to go and prove yourself to whatever manager, whoever picks the team, and we know it's Martin. You've got to go and prove yourself to him, prove your worth, prove you're better than the next man. And if he doesn't pick you for that first game, then you've got to knuckle down and show him in training, show him by your determination, show him when you do get a game at whatever point, at whatever team it is, go and show him that I'm serious, I'm going to fight for my place, I'm not just going to down tools, I'm going to take it on, and I'm going to demand you pick me. As I always say, every game is like a chance, it's like an audition. And every training session nowadays is the same. It's a chance to show the person that picks the team, pick me. I'm one of your best players, if not your best player. I'll show you what I can do day in, day out. And I'll show you I can work hard, and I can show you that I can fit into how you want to play and what you want from players in certain positions. I can take that on board. So, again, the challenge is there for anybody who's not in the starting 11. The challenge is there. Fight and earn your place.
Right. I'm going to ask you a question about Jody Jones. And during your reply, I hope not to have confirmed the signing of, we think it's Tyrese Hall. They've done one of them little pictures on Twitter, so it is imminent. So
Go on, give me a sign. Tell me how long you want me to talk for. Tell me when you've Googled it.
Yeah, so I am hanging on your every word, Stow, but
of course, yeah.
The old
course.
iPhone here as well,
hey,
just like
as long as,
refreshing, like the rest of the Notts community.
yeah, as long as I don't put you to sleep, that'll be all right.
No. Hey, Right. Jody Jones, 2 years ago, 18 months ago, League Two Player of the Year, swept the board, record number of assists, etc., 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 playing most prominently as a left winger, left wing back, had a spell of being inverted, had injuries, and it now appears without David McGoldrick having moved on, and with Martin taking a look at his existing squad, he seems to be now giving Jody a run at the inverted commas, the nouveau, the 10 role. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? And appreciate you have only seen him doing it for 90 minutes.
Yeah, of course. And again, it is caveated by that. Seen one game of him playing there. It's a difficult one because I try and look at what are the reasons for putting him there. Clearly, Jody is one of our best, if not the most creative player we have. So you have him in the team. Unless he's injured, you have him in the team. And then I think the number 10 role, I don't know if he's a natural fit for there. Again, seeing him once there, I would like to see him on the wing because I think that's where he has played most of his career. I think there's a reason for that, and I think he excels in them positions. He can beat men, deliver absolute quality delivery. I look at it from a selfish point of view. Me as a striker, I would love to receive delivery off Jody Jones, whipping balls in from the flanks either side. So that would be my preference, but I then look at who was available for the weekend. And we've said about, Will Jarvis and Mai Traore not being available. There's not many other natural sort of creative players, number 10s. Conor Grant obviously slips in there, fine. But if you're playing one up front, which we had no Jatta, who else would you play? If you then said, well, we'll play Jody as one of the wing backs, probably left wing back, who do you then play as the other number 10? In behind Matty Dennis. You've got Maz Kouiar on the bench. You've got Curtis Edwards on the bench. Ollie Norburn isn't there. Jaden Luca, again, don't know too much about him. He could maybe do it. But I wonder if Martin looked at it and thought, no, I want to see if we can get Jody in there. I know he's played in there in pre-season as well. So it's not just, roll of the dice, we'll do that. I think it's a case of he's our most creative player. Let's try and get him in positions and areas of the pitch with influence that he can affect the game. Did I think he affected the game? He tried, as I said, he shot from distance. He had a few nice touches, but I don't think he really impacted the game as much as we would like and as much as he will do, I'm sure, throughout the season. But again, it's a tough one because if you put him out on the wing, put him out as a wing back, you've then got to put somebody else in there who maybe doesn't have the creativity or certainly doesn't have the creativity of a Jody Jones. So I'm assuming you've done your Googling, Paul, because I'm coming to the end of that answer. But
yeah, that's
it'll
good.
be interesting.
Yeah, well,
it'll be interesting.
It'll
be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see after 5 or 6 games. And obviously, when Jatta becomes back available again, it gives us an extra option. When maybe Jarvis, maybe Mai Traore are fit again, there's maybe an extra option to play in them positions. But it'll be interesting to see whether he sort of sticks with him in that withdrawn role or whether he does sort of look to move him back out onto a wing that we're more familiar seeing him with.
Okay, let's move on to Salford while we wait of confirmation of a signing that we think is Tyrese Hall from Tottenham. Salford, Saturday. You're a footballer. You're a sensible footballer. Salford polarise a lot of views. The likes of Neville, Beckham, Keane, Scholes, Giggs, all having been involved and were bankrolled by a Malaysian billionaire. He's pulled the plug on the money now. And so I saw some clips from Gary Neville talking about how they're going to run the club sustainably. Good luck with Salford, to be honest with you, with the infrastructure they've got at the minute. But I think a lot of people expected them to do well this year. Cole Robinson, a bit of budget from new investors that the ex-Man you guys have managed to bring in. And then, like you say, wheels come off first game. It's only the first game, 3-1 at home to Crewe. But Salford did look against us last year over both games, one of the best teams in League Two.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They battered us, didn't they? Both games. Really, really outworked us, outplayed us, home and away. And I thought they were stronger, and I like some of their players that they had. And you're right, on paper, again, which means nothing, it looks like they've recruited well in the summer. And with that backing, with them names you've mentioned and the backing that they've got, you feel a bit like MK Dons. It's only a matter of time before they, recruit the right players, get the right formula, and have a bit of success. They weren't too far away last year, just fell away on the last couple of games, didn't they, from the playoffs? But I imagine they will have a say this year. I know they've lost the first game, so people will go, well, maybe not. But again, it's one game. It really is. If that was the 32nd game of the season and they lost it, nobody'd bat too much of an eyelid. But it's the first game. It raises a few eyebrows, but I don't think it'll define their season. I imagine they'll come strong. They've got a good experienced manager. They've got the backing. Even with the Malaysian businessman pulling his money out, I think them other names have got a few quid to put into the club if they have to. So yeah, I expect they'll be strong, and it'll be a tough test on Saturday. But like anything in League Two, it's not an insurmountable test. It's a test where, at this stage of the season, teams are still finding the way. They're cutting their teeth. They're introducing one or two new players into the team, into the squad, into how they play. And it might just take a few games for teams to actually, get that fluidity. So, look, might be a good time to play him. Who knows? But we certainly need to improve, and I think we will certainly not be physically dominated by them like I think we were at times last season. With their dynamic runners.
George Grant, very popular during his season-long loan with Notts from Forest, went to Lincoln, went north of the border with Hearts. On the face of it, that's a decent signing for them.
Yeah, of course it is. We saw the quality that he had when he came to Notts. What was it, 6 years ago, something like that now? 6, 7 years. I can't remember it. It's
Yeah,
a while
probably
back,
about 7 years
obviously.
ago now. Yeah,
7 years ago, yeah. Yeah, and a quality player, and obviously his career's gone on, and he's like I say, played for Lincoln at a higher level, played up in Scotland. Um, so what sort of a player he is now, 7 years on, we'll wait and see, and I'm sure he'll get a reasonable reception back. We know he's got ability. So he's just another good player in another team to be careful of. But they've got a few of them, Salford. But then again, so have we. So again, it's never about worrying too much about what the opposition are going to do. It's always about impose your game on the opposition, and then when they've got the ball, get in their faces and get it off them as soon as possible, and don't allow the good players to affect the game.
Martin Patterson, we know he's intense. We know he's very driven. How much is it going to mean to him? I know we've had the friendly against Cardiff, but it was, I don't know, 3,000. You would expect somewhere 9 to 10, I would think, on Saturday. How important, how emotional a game is it going to be on Saturday? First game at home in the league.
Yeah, be a really big game for him. He'll be looking forward to it. Of course, he'll say it's just like any other 3 points at stake, all that. But your first game at home, it's his first time to get a proper reception from the Notts fans. I think they put out, weren't they, over 6,000 season tickets sold again, which is fantastic numbers. Fantastic numbers, and the fantastic support that we get at Meadow Lane. And I'm sure he'll be absolutely buzzing and looking forward to it. But again, it'll all be about the result once the game is underway. Yes, he'll come out, maybe have a wave, but I don't think he puts too much stock in all that. He certainly doesn't seem to want the limelight. It's not about him. It's about his team. It's about the way the team play. It's about the result. He's not somebody who's in it for his ego and for his name to be bandied about. I think he's sort of down to earth. Intense is the word we've all used, and I think everybody's noted. And when you've got that sort of intensity, it is all about winning. It is all about winning, because that's what the intensity is all about. If it wasn't about winning, you could be a bit more, let's say, fair, can't you? A bit more laid back. But he's not. He is intense, and it matters. So he'll want to win. Yes, he'll come out. He'll want a good reception, and he'll get one absolutely. But he'll want to win. That's the biggest thing he'll want, and he'll want to reward the fans, as all managers do. Want to reward your own fans with points.
first game of the season, we all formulate, who's going to do this, that, and it often throws up, a bizarre set of results. And I certainly think in League Two, on the face of it, some of those were very bizarre. Maybe not to you because you kind of understand how it all works. But on the face of it, newly promoted Oldham draw MK Dons is a right result for them.
Yeah, look, and again, I will tell everybody the same thing, and you might not believe it, but teams are no team is the finished article at game one of the season. You're finding your legs, you're finding your fitness, your sort of proper match fitness. You're still getting used to your teammates, no matter how well your pre-season's gone, you are still getting used to everything. It's the first time you've played competitive game together, a league game that really matters. So you will get a few strange results. You always do. And the first game again, because everyone works towards it, then I get a thumbs up. Is the transfer news? Breaking transfer news. We can't afford a ticker tape. So go on, go on.
I've got to say, great infilling, Stel. I don't want to cut you off, but great infilling. But I'm calling it up now. Tyrese Hall has joined us on a season-long loan. I'm reading it off the club statement that went up about 3 seconds ago. 19-year-old playing a number of midfield roles. One of the Premier League outfit's most highly rated youngsters. Represented England at under 19 level. Me and Stel did have a bet. We had a bet, and I said, I guarantee one of the alumni mentions will be that he'll have played for an England age group team. Director of football Roberto Gagliardi said, I have been following Tyrese since he was 6 years old and is someone I've always wanted to buy. I made that up. Sorry. Roberto Gagliardi says, Tyrese is a dynamic and versatile midfielder who is talented and hardworking in equal measure. His main strength is his ability to play progressively. He's an incisive passer who's also very skilled at dribbling out of tight areas and carrying the ball forward. Out of possession, Tyrese's athleticism and work rate make him a highly effective presser who gets into excellent positions to register goals and assists, or to create space for other attacking players. He is comfortable playing as a number 6, 8, or 10, and complements our other midfield options very well, including fellow loanees Tom Iapenda and Jaden Luca, who both made impressive debuts at Newport. We've worked hard to bring Tyrese to Meadow Lane with George Abbott's successful loan, and our relationship with Tottenham undoubtedly having influenced in him. Our thanks go to Spurs for once again recognising the valuable contribution we can make to one of their top young players' development. Started out at Chelsea, did Tyrese, before moving to Spurs, progressed through the ranks, signed a 5-year contract, obviously to protect the asset value there. Senior football with several appearances in the EFL Trophy. I told you that one as well, didn't I, Stel? I said there'd be 2.
Yeah.
And that's it. Okay, so we've got some more in. Thoughts on that?
Right. Well, obviously, don't know the lad. Obviously, no idea. Never seen him play. But yeah, look, maybe that's another option for that number 10 role. That we were talking about. We will see. But again, it's just another chance, maybe, of a player that they've identified as being able to strengthen the squad, and being able to get the deal done. Now, again, midfield is not necessarily the area that I think any of us would say we are short in. But it's another option, and if he's a good player, talented player, then it increases the competition for a shirt. So that can only be a good thing. But I think we're all waiting on tenterhooks for when that striker gets announced, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, we have now got an awful lot of wing backs, a lot of midfielders. You would think, and you hinted at this earlier in the show, you would think there's going to have to be some players moved out in the next few weeks on loan, if not sold.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say almost 100% certainty that's going to happen. Yeah, like you say, wing backs, we seem to have plenty of players that can play in midfield. We seem to have plenty of. Of course, you need a squad, and if they're good players, you can never have too many good players. Um, but you think about the players we've got in midfield that sort of played on Saturday, the couple on the bench that came on, Ollie Norburn, Curtis Edwards, can play in them midfield positions. Let's not forget Scott Robertson, who's been out, seems to be out injured forever and a day. But, another sort of first team player when fit. I know he's not fit very often, but he's another one to throw into the mix. So we're not short, particularly of midfield players. But again, this is where coaches and football clubs like good players. If you can get a good player that you think will improve you, then by all means bring them in, and that's what they seem to have done. But let's not forget that yes, although the window closes September the 1st, isn't it? I think that National League window for maybe loaning players out or releasing players down there, that goes on after that. So absolutely, without a question, I imagine players will be going out, but they won't be going out until we feel we've got enough in to allow players to go out.
Yeah, let's have your thoughts, Flock, on Tyrese joining the club. Plenty of comments already coming in. Bud Chatwin, Hall as the 10 and Jody back on the wing. Stephen Shepherd goes several steps further. That's the League One then, with a bulging bicep emoji. I'd imagine we'll see one or two departures this week, says Chris Gosling. 12 midfielders in the squad already, says Martin Shipley. Must now be some outgoing, says Jurgen. Ian Cooks, Nick Cerula still has to come back as well. Gazali, another midfielder. What else have we got? Cerula and Jarvis outgoing, speculates Jurgen. Richard Elvian, Spurs will expect plenty of minutes. Yeah, it is interesting the way loan deals are usually structured now, aren't they, Stel? And clearly, as has been mentioned, the George Abbott was a great loan agreement for both parties. For three parties, for Tottenham because he got the minutes, for the player because he developed extremely well, and for Notts because he made, he played games and made telling contributions and was one of our best players of the season. We've now got two midfielders on loan from high division clubs, Iapenda and Hall. Clearly, they've got to do the business in training. But would you sort of be expecting those two loanees to be getting regular minutes?
Well, you'd certainly like to think they've brought them in with a view to playing them, not just to sit around and be squad members and come in if somebody's injured or somebody's suspended. But again, it's competition for places, isn't it? There are only so many shirts in the middle of the park available. Like I say, I suspect maybe if he can play as a number 10, I'm not saying he's going to walk straight into the team, the starting 11. He may have to, have some minutes on the bench and do that before he gets in the starting 11. But, he's going to have been brought in as a midfield player. They wouldn't just bring another midfield player in because, as we've said, we are not short of midfield players, particularly. But they have obviously brought him in with a view to playing him, and you can find our clubs get a tie, a regular tie-up. The George Abbott loan seemed to have gone well for all parties last season. I think George Abbott developed as a player over the season. I think we all saw that. Spurs are obviously happy with the sort of football that Notts play, the facilities and everything that the club has got. Think the players, the young players, are in safe hands coming up here and playing. They'll get minutes, they'll get game time if good enough. Now, things can be written into loan contracts to say they've got to play a certain amount of minutes, or they've got to play, they've got to start so many games. But also, what supersedes that is we are a professional club, and if he's not good enough and not up to it, he won't get their minutes, and they'll end up calling him back potentially. And that'd happen with any deal. Nobody plays just because it's detailed in a sort of loan agreement. They can be sort of cancelled. But for the good of the sort of link between us and Spurs, we hope he comes and has a successful loan, just like George Abbott did last season, and has a similar sort of impact as well. And whatever the link with Spurs is pretty good. And Son Heung-min said he's leaving. Is that deal with LAFC been done, or is he potentially coming? Could he answer our striker problems?
Well, we'd take him, wouldn't we? We'd take him. But I think LAFC have got that all signed, sealed, and delivered. Will Charlesworth, always great being the club that can ignite and start a young player's career. If he's anything like Abbott, it's a massive win. Richard Elvin, what's the whispers on a striker? Well, we kind of discussed that a little bit earlier. Well, we don't really know, do we? Hall starts on the bench for me, says Big Meech, but comes on and scores a brace. Okay, let's leave that on those two. Final thoughts for the show. So live on air, we've had the new signing. Given this guy, I suspect he's going to get a lot of minutes. For you, is it still absolutely essential we get another striker with the capacity to score goals and plenty of them?
Yes, like I said, I'm not going to change my mind from half an hour ago. No, I still think we need to bring a goal scorer, or hopefully a goal scorer in. Yeah, absolutely. I'm greedy like that. You can never have too many people who can put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, and to be honest, for what it's worth, I totally agree with that. But look, I think that's positive news tonight. So it's another one into the squad. I'm sure we're all going to be eagerly and impatiently awaiting news of a striker as well. But it's Salford coming up on Saturday. Don't forget, I'm sure you haven't, Stell, 12:30 early kickoff. On Saturday. And now I know you're kind of like hanging up the bat, but several of our lot, Andy Eastham, Andy Walton, have been on again tonight. And there was someone at Newport who was grilling me to say, "Oh, what was Stell's batting average this year?" I says, "Well, I don't think it was
good.
3 figures." I said, "I'm not even sure it was double figures." I said, "I'm not quite sure if it was that bad to be single figures." So come on. What's your average?
No, I only play about 5 or 6 games, so top score was at 80 something, and that was the only decent contribution. So it won't be much. It might be 15, 20, something like that. Terrible, really terrible. My eyes are gone. Yeah, I used to be decent, but like everything, it's going away from it. It's getting further in the rearview mirror than ever before.
Is he trying to say Chris Wokes with a dislocated shoulder would have been a better bat than you?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was some finish this morning. I just got back in from the golf, early start golf. Watched that half an hour. It was quite thrilling theatre. Not the result England would have wanted, but never mind. So reminder: 12:30 Saturday, and it's the first time for God knows how long, if ever, Notts and Forest kick off on the same day. Forest have got a friendly. I don't think they're kicking off till the evening, 7:30, 7:45. But yeah, so that's very unusual. So we look forward to seeing you all next Monday before. Is it League Cup or Shrewsbury? I can't remember which way round they come. Is it
League
Shrewsbury?
Cup. Yeah, it's the Carabao, isn't it? It's Wigan. Because don't forget, Shrewsbury's been moved back to the Wednesday. Is that the following week?
Yeah, after a blank week this week, we then move into 2 midweeks, don't we? We get two games a week. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to Notts for making the announcement at 8 rather than 8:30, whilst we would have been stuffed. So welcome to Tyrese Hall. Hope you have a great time with the football club. We'll be back Monday. Don't forget to enter the competition to win a free shirt. Check out the vlog from Newport if you've not already seen it. And there was a Friday night show I did from the delights of Newport as well. We'll be back with a vlog on Saturday in any case. We look forward to seeing you all next Monday. Stell, thanks as always. You infilled brilliantly while we're all refreshing the bloody thing. Beep, 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 beep.
Well, I have my uses. Finally. But yeah, no, cheers. Have a good week, everybody. Best wishes and get well soon to Stephen Silver, and obviously best wishes to his family. And we'll see you all at Meadow Lane, hopefully Saturday.
We will, and echo those thoughts. All the very best to Stephen. Don't know whether you've been up to watching the show tonight. It would certainly have put you back to sleep if you had been watching it, I'm sure. But we have got a new signing, so I'm sure you'll be looking forward to seeing him at Meadow Lane as soon as you are possibly able. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next Monday. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.
Yes.